Fellas, say goodbye to Chuck Sherman the boy. I am now a man. I highly recommend you join the club. We are doing the wild thing all night.
Acid house music.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Sherm.
Sherman, I cook all this food. Is that all you gonna eat?
General Sherman realized and understood the importance of house music.
So, do you know anything about techno?
No.
Listen.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to another brand new episode of Sherm in the Booth. I'm, of course, your host, Sherm. Today is Wednesday, November 17th, 2021, and this is episode 185, and we've got another amazing interview to share with you today. Episode 185 features one of my favorite DJ producers in the game who has one of the best taglines. You already know what time it is. That was my best Russian I could possibly do. He goes by the name of Bingewatch. This was such a fun interview, and I had a blast getting Art's full story in this one. In episode 185, we got it all in and started by talking about how he became Bingewatch. Born and raised in Russia, Bingewatch was exposed to electronic music at a very young age and has been hooked ever since. He eventually went to college in the United States and studied music theory until he started pursuing music as more than a passion. His first project, DeafMind, was focused around dubstep, and he actually had a ton of success. However, he saw the potential for a new lane in house music, and Bingewatch was born. Of course, we talked about the Bingewatch discography. Although the Bingewatch project is only a few years old, he's already had massive success as a producer. We talked about how some of his biggest tracks came together, like Yo Lova with Freak On via Sink or Swim, Happy Thug via The Prescription, which is now House Call Records, shout out Dr. Fretch, and of course we talked about his 9-track Hood Politics Records Discography that is dense. He's truly a special producer. Throughout the interview, we also talked about his production style. Bingewatch has absolutely no rules when it comes to producing. In fact, he said he blew out his computer speakers recently trying to test the levels, but it's all part of his game. He gave us the inside scoop on how he comes up with new tracks and his process when collaborating with other producers. I'll let Gallo and Freak On tell you if it works or not. Bingewatch is easily one of the most eccentric and hilarious people I've ever met, and his pure passion for fun and creativity is inspiring. He does so much for the scene internally and externally. Shout out to Blind Tiger, who's now doing shows every single Tuesday with Space Yacht at Sound Nightclub through February. Yes, that's a good promo right there. I'm telling you, he's someone that's gonna go far. Binge, I think I now know what time it is. Let's get into it right now so you guys can hear his story for yourselves. This is episode 185 with Bingewatch. Ladies and gentlemen, hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of Sherm in the Booth. I'm here with my man, Art, a.k.a. Bingewatch. Binge, living the American dream out there in Los Angeles. How the hell are you?
Hey, you already know what time it is. We're doing great. Can't complain about a thing. Just a little tired, but only from the favorite thing that I get to do. So
that's right, man. It's worth
it.
There are those little moments where you're like, I'm so fucking tired. Am I doing the right thing right now? And you're like, I'm tired because during that moment when I was giving it my all, I would rather do nothing else. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's a good reminder to me every time. When I start getting upset, I haven't been doing this in a while, but I used to say, I would be like, what would an 18-year-old Art think of you right now? And he would be like, you're being so grumpy, you're living the best life, everything you wanted to do when you're a kid, and You're being here in your head. So yeah, I try and get out. I mean, it's easy to get in your head when you're working hard and trying to push it within the industry, and it's art that you're creating, so it's sometimes you put in more time into something that doesn't necessarily return as much, and sometimes you do something and it has bigger return. So it's sometimes it's easy and fun, and then other times it's hard and frustrating. But you gotta struggle through all of these different kind of waves of it and enjoy it all in a sense.
Yeah, one thing that's made me a little more immune to all the ups and downs is sharing sort of the ups and downs with people like you, like the community, especially the house music community. There's like a layer to it, right? Like before, when you don't know anybody, you're like, how do I meet those guys? How do I know them? And then you realize you're just one handshake away a lot of the time.
And once you kind of on like that one level above that you were always really just one handshake away, so much better, man. Connecting with Gallo, you, Susan, Nutty, all the Hood Politics crew, you know, Freak On, everybody, and like feeling like I can genuinely call someone a friend outside of it just being a music relationship is so fulfilling. And that's what excites me about the future.
Yeah, it's been great community. You just in general coming up and creating and everybody linking right now. That, yeah, like you said, the Hood Pol in San Diego, us in LA, the Florida boys, you guys in Chicago.
Yep.
I got homies in Arizona that brought me out. We're, you know, everybody's supporting each other, and nobody's too big or too small in a sense. So everybody's working hard and doing dope music, and it's been and supporting each other. So it's been so much fun. I can't complain. The Space Yacht guys been supporting us as well here in LA, so that's been huge. And Insomniac, so it's kind of coming full circle finally, where our whole little layer is getting recognized within the official electronic music community, and that feels great.
Yeah, and it should feel great, man. And that's why I'm so excited to talk to you today and really get your full story, because I know how interesting of a guy you are. And we had done a few Hood Politics interviews with Susan before, and I was like, I got to talk to Art without Susan, because we all know Susan's ADD controls the whole room sometimes.
Yeah, Susan.
We love you, Steven, but sometimes I'm trying to talk to Art without you saying, you know, God knows what.
I love Susan. I just say you already know what time it is.
And he freaks out.
He goes, you get by your whole life saying one phrase.
He cracks me up, dude. He fucking cracks me up.
Yeah, when I met him, we right away became such great friends. There was no way back. He's so great, and
I know.
Oh my god, yeah,
We're
such a big energy. And at first, I was like, "Is this guy for?" I was like, you know what I mean. Sometimes you'll meet people at a party, and that's kind. I think we probably met at a party. Most likely, they were about to DJ somewhere, or a pre-party to about to go DJ somewhere. And he was, you know, his energy, just his irregular energy, the way you described it, was so high. Where I was like, sometimes you'll meet people and they're on the hype because it's party time, and then you meet them the next day and they're like normal. They're like. Yeah, just going about my day. But then they're at the party, they're like that again. And I was like, and I thought that was just his moment like that, where he's like, oh, I'm having a good time. It's cool, you know, we're with friends.
24/7.
No, this guy is nonstop. 7 a.m. Bitch, let's go! So funny. I love him. Yeah, his energy always makes me happy. Yeah, he's the one who got me out of my head so many times. The little moments when I've had frustration with music industry or how things are going, you can always call Susan and he'll cheer you up and remind you to check yourself.
So true, man. So true. And you've given so much to Hood Politics too. I mean, he's mentioned that you're like Mr. Hood Poly, Binge. I think you've released, and we'll talk about this, but you've released 9 tracks on Hood Politics, dude. Like you like.
Yes. Yeah, that's I guess some people think I'm exclusive with Hood Politics.
That's not a bad thing.
Yeah, no. I get demos. People will be sending me demos for Hood Politics.
Wow.
I'll be like, yeah, just shoot it over to Suze and I'll link you guys. I'll tell him you're good to go. He'll check for it. But yeah, it's been nice being part of the family and just bringing other people into the family, and just Nighty and Peyton are great. Also, more and friends.
Of course.
Yeah, been just love all of them, and it's been great and easy. And yeah, honestly, I just don't, with the demos and stuff. I've been doing these demos since I'm 30 years old now, and I've been sending demos out since 17 years old. And sometimes it starts taking the direction of your sound, where you know a certain label is popular And in order for, if you're doing this whole like building your career on like, I'm a tapping into the whole tech house scene, and
Right.
now I'm gonna do start building with little smaller labels, and then pick up bigger labels and just do one release or like maybe 1, 2, and then you're kind of climbing, trying to get to the Repopulate Mars and
Yeah.
Hot Fast and whatever, all of those. And it's a great game to play, and I love it. But for me, sometimes I notice that I'm like, do I like that kind of stuff that I'm making right now? Because I'm trying to get to this certain, and that happened even before I started Bingewatch.
Yeah.
When I was in my previous project, and I was realizing, and certain people would even like sign my song, and it would do really well, and then they would be like, hey, send us more. And I would send them something, and they're like, no, send us more like the one before. And I'm like, I don't, come on, I'm moving on.
Yep.
I'm making, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to
do.
remake the same track over and over. So with the Hood Politics, once, we all became friends and Susan signed a couple of my first tracks, he literally just was over at my house, like, and signed an Ableton project. It wasn't even like a demo. I was just showing him stuff I'm working on. And he's like, okay, yeah, sign in this. Come on, finish this up. Didn't even have full arrangement done, probably. I think it was the Bang song, or I know, Never Come Home. Never Come Home, that song. I remember that. It was just an idea. So once we got the ball rolling, and then eventually we have such a close friendship and relationship that instead of me being, I'll make songs that I like, and I'm gonna be like, oh my god, I'm gonna send it to these guys right now, and they're gonna be like, this is sick, but switch out the clap, and the hi-hat is a little too loud, and I'm like, oh my god, I ain't got time for this shit.
Yeah.
So I hit up with Susan, and then I'm like, yo, okay, next month, which week can I drop the track? He's like, which track? I'm like, I was like, I got a couple. I was like, I already know which one. So sometimes, like for the previous one, I'm pretty sure I just locked in the date. I didn't even send him the demos. So it's that kind of easy relationship for me.
Wow, that's awesome.
I can just think that when I can put out what I like, and they trust me with my sound. Obviously, I'll send them a couple options, and Susan's been curating for sure, and he's picked out most of these songs.
Yeah.
But it's not like a back and forth where like, oh, like, these are not good, keep sending. Like I'm like, okay, I need to get this out, like, let's go. So I love it. And yeah, thinking, eventually the Blind Tiger is gonna end up being a record label of its own. So it's gonna be, for me, another way to just roll out tracks besides doing Hood Politics without. And then I think it will allow me to finally have like a consistent release schedule where
smart.
I can make something and put it out in a month or two. But right now, everything that's coming out, I made like a year and a half ago. Because by the time I've played it out 5 times and then adjusted it, like I had a guy come up to me yesterday at the show, and he was like, I didn't know that Warehouse Show came out on Hood Politics. I was trying to find it for like a year. And I was like, it's because I was playing it for a year. It just wasn't out.
Holy
and nobody
shit.
couldn't Shazam it or anything. So it's like with all these songs, it's like, I've had them for so long. The ones that are out right now, some of them I made pre-corona. So I want to create more of a consistent release schedule where I'm like, okay, I'm making something and I'm releasing. I'm not like overthinking. I'm just documenting my creative process, and I'm not really.
Yeah. You feel like
if you label once and it's an easy thing, and somebody is with me and is like, I've been meeting a bunch of cool A&Rs just from doing shows and stuff, and they all hear my demos and that I play out, and a lot of them's been asking. And that's actually, I've been meaning to sit down for another month right now and finish up all these kind of demos and send them out to these people that have asked for demos recently.
Right.
But in the past 3-4 months, I've just been making ideas and play them out.
Do you feel like and that something you said there, like the music that you're releasing, you made a year ago, if not more. Don't you think the producer's ear, and this is something I'm trying to explain to people that aren't producers, when you release a song, it sounds a little different and you kind of learn from the feedback there before you actually release it, right? Like if it just sits in the vault, it sounds the same as when you're listening to it. But then when it's out and you hit play on Spotify or you play it in a club, you're like, I know what I can do better next time.
Exactly. No, sometimes it's also the other way around. Sometimes I'll be like working on these tracks. For me, it's actually the opposite. Because by the time I'm out, I'm like, by the time everything got done, I've made it so long ago that I have to open the project from a year ago to finish the mix down. And I'm like, oh my God, this shit. And I'm like, and by the time I sent this demo in, I'm already frustrated because I'm trying with the mix downs. Sometimes I don't even like doing these mix downs because I just overdo it. And sometimes the original demo that I do, I like how it sounds better than even and sometimes I'll spend 2-3 days mixing the track and then still submit the old version, and I'll be like, yeah, I don't know, lost the project file, just use this.
Fuck it, dude.
But then by the time it's out, I'm like I don't want to hear this shit anymore. And then a time goes around, and then people give me good feedback, and I'll have somebody will be like, oh, that song is sick, and I'm like, oh yeah, and I'll listen back, and I'm like, oh, this actually, I was like, and the mix is not bad either. I was like, okay.
Dude, it just takes time. Just
also relative, you know what I mean?
Yeah, before we went live, you were talking about like you have blown the speakers out on your Mac that you're currently on right now, and you just bass music. Yeah, exactly. And you just kind of get used to it and how you hear it in different environments too. That's why I thought creating during the pandemic or really during lockdown was interesting. Like we heard a lot of new types of house that are still probably yet to come out. Like you said, some pre-corona shit, right? Like people were getting creative in so many different ways.
It also, I think it helps house music a lot more because bass music and the heavier styles of music are a lot more they're a lot more big festival kind of vibe. When you go and you experience with the whole visual experience, you're not going to be sitting at home unless it's like your favorite act that you're excited to see their visuals and everything, and it's really highly curated,
like Rez or something.
Stream. Yeah, where you get together with your friends, you put it on Dolby Surround, and you have that during Corona, people would watch all these streams.
Yeah.
And I feel like the house music was just easy streaming and easy listening for people, whether you're by yourself or with a couple of friends. It's more of a background, easier to play in the background than a lot of the bass and people play in the background like lo-fi stuff. They play in terms of half tempo. They play like liquid drum and bass.
Mm-hmm.
They're just vibing out, and it's a slow day. I mean, some super fans of certain genres definitely will go hard dubstep all day when they're cleaning their kitchen.
Right.
But generally speaking, I feel like for like even how to say, like if you're having a gathering of like 5 people, you know what I mean? Yeah. It already will be like most likely most people will want background music because they want to talk and chat, and it's not like an experience where you're sitting and letting the whole music take over.
I know exactly
and I think
what
it
you
helps
mean.
to put the house music on the forefront because it's cool to DJ, and it's a lot more DJable than the lo-fi stuff and all that other. It's more like I feel like it really helped put it on the forefront.
Yeah, it did. And it's obvious to see now in festival lineups as well. You know, of course, so many things about diversity and you know, sexualization and gender preference on lineup stuff, right? That's come to the forefront. And even though it's slowly changing, and I know you're a big proponent of this, all female lineups that you do with Blind Tiger as well. And I mean, I've seen you book all different types of genres. We both know where house music came from, Chicago, you know, lower income areas, right? That are usually colored to a certain extent, right? And
yeah, I mean, it's all over for me, all over the world. I mean, it's world music. It's crazy. House music.
it's global. Exactly, man. You took the words out of my mouth. Love it.
Yeah, I can't even. Once you start trying to figure even out this whole history, where exactly it started and what exactly influenced what, it's so crazy. It's just, I mean, it's like so intertwined, and that's actually the cool thing about it. Why it's also having a resurgence right now, because the house music is now vintage and cool.
Yes,
When
it's true.
it's like when trance happened, and I think it's been like it was a big. What year was it? 2007, 8, right before Skrillex. Like when Dot Sauce happened and all that stuff.
Armin van Buuren, Ferry, Tiesto, early days.
Cool. We don't speak Americano, and that and the Dirty Bird becoming a West Coast thing in America specifically during that era. It became so big, and then it kind of became sort of cheesy when these other sounds came in. They were all like, "We're cool and we're very," with the Skrillex and stuff.
Yep.
And then I feel like now it's been long enough, and all the kids that grew up with the crazy sounds, they've been going to festivals, and now they're exploring all these like side stages and all
people
these
like you and I,
and they're learning their history, and now the house music is now cool and having like
exactly, man. Look at the
John
festival lineups,
like vocal stuff that's so big again right now. Like during the times when Cascade and Deadmau5 were doing I Remember and those songs, they were like I feel like it's like come full circle. And even in the bass music, it's the same as it was back then, because it was it's called glitch hop. It was glitch hop, dubstep and glitch hop, and glitch hop for me was like up tempo bass music. And now it's basically, then trap happened, and now the experimental bass is basically glitch hop, but with trap drums and drum and bass Reese. Or a mix of the two, and rap and UK grime as well. Like it was early back then when dubstep was just happening, and it was all mixing all together.
And so drum and bass is huge too right now.
But 12 years, it's like a decade. I don't know if it's like every decade it goes around like that. And even with the hip hop, you know what I mean, where it goes, very ignorant hip hop becomes super popular, and then becomes super conscious, and all these people it's cool, and then the conscious hip hop is not cool anymore, and it's like a swing every time, and once one takes over, it just becomes too much, and people are like, oh my god, I can't with this anymore.
That's so true, man. And I've had this discussion many a times. I agree with you. I think our generation right now, we did the Skrillex, the big room, the dubstep, the rhythm, right? We still love the music, and we started exploring more. And we realized that you can go to these festivals, these shows, these after parties, these day parties all day and dance and not jump and fucking crack your neck. You know what I mean? And that's house music. That's tech house music. That's minimal. And that's why I think it's so big right now.
Yeah, and you can just go for so long. And yeah. I mean, it's great. I mean, I think it's and the big. I think now festivals. Somebody was saying that in some interview that I listened to, but they were like, they're one of those old school house DJs, and somebody was like questioning them about the big acts and the big EDM festivals, and if it's frustrating to them that those are the big acts that are getting booked now and whatnot.
Right.
And that person was, I can't pinpoint who it was, but they were like, honestly, I am actually really thankful for that resurgence, because now these festivals are becoming so big, and they're bringing all these people together, and now we get to now do these cool underground stages and side stages, and I don't really care to be on that big main stage. I want to do the cool underground side stage, and I'm really happy that and I'm thankful to these people for creating this infrastructure,
Yeah.
like to have that ability, you know what I mean, to have 20 different stages and 20 different styles for people to be able to go experience all these different moods.
For sure.
And yeah, as Insomniac has been so amazing at doing these kind of experiences. And
Yeah, I know.
yeah, I mean, since I was a kid, how old? When did I go to the first Insomniac? Well, even when I didn't go, I would see them like as a kid, I guess, and be like, oh my God, this is crazy. But yeah, once I got to go, it's just like, wow, this is like a full-on city experience, like a immersive.
Yeah.
And you get to really live within the different genres and see and experience how they're all different, but they're all together at the same time.
Right. And I don't think anybody is not aware. You're obviously are from Russia, and I know you grew up in Portland, right? Like the prequel to Bingewatch, though, you kind of brought it up a little bit because Bingewatch is a 3-year-old project now, 2 years old.
I think 2 years old now.
So what was that timeline from, so you were born in Russia, you moved to Portland, right? What was the timeline?
I was born in Russia, I grew up, I went to high school, graduated from school there.
Yeah.
And then I went to go to college in Portland.
Okay, gotcha. And were you doing music then?
I was just starting to I was always into music and like just curating stuff. And
yeah.
I was a skateboarder, so I was listening to all different styles, and I would I would constantly listen to music because I would skate like 8 hours a day.
Wow.
So I would curate all my playlists, and I would have and I was listening to electronic music since like 11 years old, like the cool European stuff, because my best friend's brother was a DJ in an underground techno club. So I was getting these like underground records when I was 12, like Roman Salzger, Oliver Kaletsky,
wow,
just all these like it was mainly German shit. It was like German electro. I feel like it was more electro, if I would describe it. And then his progression was my brother's friend. They're actually sick. I think they're still on SoundCloud, and if anybody wants to go check it out, the Guzalos and my other friend now goes, the younger brother, they collaborated together and did a bunch of stuff, and the younger brother goes by Atwa now, ATWA. Him and I have a collab that's gonna come out sometimes, but
fuck yeah,
I've been playing it a bunch. But basically his older brother was like playing in clubs, and he was doing house and techno, and he's still doing that stuff. And we were just kind of on the sidelines hanging out, and would pick up on certain things.
Right.
And yeah, his progression was like from harder electro and techno into more minimal underground. It wasn't like high energy minimal tech. It was more like minimal deep techno underground experimental kind of shit. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does enough.
But it was more like, it wasn't as groovy, minimal. It was more like it was like techno minimal.
Yeah.
Almost like Boris Brecha, but like less melodic. But that quality to the drums and that kind of, not
very
too
good
much
description.
swing.
Yeah, I actually know exactly what you're talking about now. That was a perfect description.
So yeah, there was a lot of stuff like that, and at the same time I was listening to like New Order and like rock bands like The Strokes and like The Cooks and the rap music. So I was literally just listening. And then my other friend was a little bit older than me, and he was he got turntables, and it was right before Tractor and Serato became a thing. And maybe they were already invented, but it was like hard to get still.
Yeah.
So they were still like, and at that point I was probably like already 13, 14 or something, and he must have been like 17, and he would already be able to get into a club and DJ. So he was like, he had the turntables, and he had them. You had to like buy like records, and he had like a he would like he was from a good, well-off family, so he was able to afford to buy records. And these kids, they were running these nights. They were like more. It was like during R&B, hip hop R&B type of stuff. But what was like 2005, 2005, and they were doing that stuff. And so they started booking him to play in a club. And so he became like an actual club DJ. And I would also be basically a friend with a hip hop club DJ who was giving me like all these documentaries about like DJ Shadow and like Scratch all the way in LA, and all these like hip hop sampling documentaries about like Dilated Peoples and all these like old school hip hop slash, you know, the hip hop bands that would have a DJ like part of the band kind of deal,
right?
And just even watching In Tune and On Time, which is one of DJ Shadow's like sickest performances, was like visuals.
Oh yeah, that's come up. It's legendary.
He's like got the 2 turntables, and so I was getting exposed to all of these things simultaneously. And on the Russian radio, now listening back to these, like, when was it? Maybe right before Corona, like a year before Corona.
Yeah.
My dad threw a birthday party in Portland, and I happened to be there. And my parents made me DJ the party, and it was like they're all Russian friends. And I had to like go back into my memory lane and like curate an old school playlist. And it was the funniest thing to DJ this party because
they probably went hard.
I went hard. But I started downloading all these like Russian pop songs from the 90s that I grew up on. And I'm like, and when as a kid, I just remembered the vocals. I never remembered the instrumental. And now I'm listening, I'm like, oh, this is like progressive house. So all of this stuff that I grew up on that was like Russian stuff, it's all basically like trancey, progressive house. A lot of it is like, there's a lot of hip hop ones too that were like that, but there's a lot of 4 on the floor vibe going on in general, just dance music kind of. Like, and it's kind of, I feel like a lot of pop music in Europe in general is dance and 4 on the floor.
Yeah, definitely.
And what else? But yeah, and then I kind of and then around that time, like 17, 18, I was moving to America to go to college. And so I basically left my entire friend group in Russia, and I just took all this music and all these videos, and it was like early internet times. They just like, I didn't even know about Facebook. I like found out there was like, because I was straight off the boat. I didn't even figure out what, like, I maybe heard of the Facebook, you know what I mean?
Did you speak good English at this time?
I could get by. I was like,
wow.
I've traveled. My parents sent me over to like learn English across like for a summer in England once, and they stay in a host family. And then I went 2 summers. I went to this country called Malta, where their second official language is English, and it was like a fully immersive program. So I was decent. Like, you could drop me off in a different country and I could get anywhere, buy things, but I couldn't sit down and have like an in-depth conversation about my life with you.
Present tense you could do. I know what you mean.
It was more like, how much is this? Where do I go? How do I watch a movie? Like, it was very simple conversational, like, get by, get your basic needs kind of done. Like, I wasn't like writing essays and understanding like the intricacies of English, like culture or American culture and slang or whatever it is. Like, you know, even the things, I had my own version of like English slang that I thought, because in Russia you get all these like, you can't tell the difference between Australian, Canadian, English, the East Coast, West Coast accent. It's all just English. Like, I was learning British English for many years in my high school, and I didn't even know. Like, I kind of realized that there was American English, but I never really realized how different they were.
Yes.
Like they kind of sounded similar to me. But then like once I got to America, I started realizing I'm like, oh, they have completely like what they were teaching me in school is like certain words. I don't even remember those words anymore, but
Yeah.
Yeah, they're slightly different.
That's crazy. And you came to college and just
I
like
graduated from college.
want to pursue music
Portland.
though?
I did. So I was doing an associate in business, and
Okay.
then I kind of started wilding out and DJing and doing stuff, and school started slowing down, and I was like, I had to take like 2 more terms or some stuff for the business, and they were like, and I was telling my parents, I was like, I'm done with this shit. I was like, I'm out of here. I'm gonna keep going to college. And I was like, and I was already DJing, doing my second, my DeafMind, the bass music project that I was doing. So I was playing quite a bit, and I was doing production for like rappers on the side. And in Portland, I was doing another project called Laser Harp that I've been working on for a long time, and it's like a museum art installation project writing for it. So I was doing fine, and I didn't. But my parents were like, "Nah, you're not just gonna bounce and not go to school." So they're like, "You're doing music, go to school for music." So I went to an advisor, and they looked at all my whatever. What do they call it? I don't even remember anymore.
Your grades, your
credits.
Your credits, yeah.
And they're like, you can graduate, right? You can get an associate in social science right now and just go do the 2-year music program, which then can transfer into a university program. So I went and I did this 2 more years it was called professional music. So I got an associate in professional music as well.
Wow.
Or it was like something, I don't know, it's called some professional music degree or something. It's not something that I don't know how these systems work, whatever.
But you've got it.
I got the paper.
Fuck it.
But that school experience was sick. Like I came in all cocky and stuff because I was like, I make beats. I know my shit. I was
right.
I was like, what are you guys gonna show me? Like kind of deal. And then I go to music theory class, and they're like writing on treble clef. And
you don't know shit.
And the dude is like, just points you out randomly in the class, and it's like, okay, what's the next note you want to write? And you're like, and you get like 5 seconds. And if you don't respond, he's like, okay, you're done for it, boom. And you're like, what? You don't know? And like that, I came in, and at first I'd be like, what the hell is happening here? I was like, this is crazy. I was like, I don't, when you're like, I was so not like, some kids were there that already like, some of them were like piano. I've played guitar, and I know my MIDI roll. I knew my MIDI roll maybe by then. Right. And I knew how to make thick drums. And chop up some vocals. That was extensive.
That's it. Yeah, you were not working in the job, bro. Yeah, you were fucking writing music.
Was, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I barely knew chords and like scales, and barely or not writing on paper or for instruments.
That helped you though?
Yeah. And so the first term I totally was kind of not paying it for. There was a bunch of different classes I was taking. It was like, I was able to pick my own kind of program through it. So you had to there were like different categories of like level of class. There were certain ones like I had to take all the music theory. I had to take all the keyboard and harmony. But I was able to pick between like digital recording versus analog recording class. Right. And I went with the analog recording class because I wanted to mess around with the hardware. And I was like, why am I going to go learn digital? They're just going to be showing me how to work in the DAW.
Right.
Like I want to like mess with the real stuff. And then there was like rhythm classes. And then I was able to pick like history classes. There's like history of funk, history of rock, history of what else? There was like 3 terms of different history that I had to take of different music. And I mean, just a bunch of different music classes in general. Like there was one where that was the stupidest class though. But it was like, they lock you in a little room. And it was so old school. I couldn't believe they were making us do it. You're like, it was like a tape or a CD you had to pull out, right? And it's like a tiny room, and they got like a little machine, and it's basically got one knob, and it's basically for reading music, but it's like for you to get good, not at playing chords, but at going with time. Do you understand what I'm saying? When you're reading off the paper,
Right.
so you're listening to a song in the background, and it's like, and you have to like tap a lot, and there's like, I don't remember what it was,
You're
either
beat
some kind of a
matching.
click, and you have to like tap along with it, and the CD player is linked with the little machine, and it counts you every time you're off time, so it knows like. You gotta hit it like 128 times through this particular exercise. But you
Holy
only can. It's like
shit.
playing the Guitar Hero, like. But you're like without the visual aspect of it.
Dude, holy shit, that sounds so difficult.
It was the weirdest shit, and I was like, by the end of it, I was like starting to get busy too, and it was like and those were like the last classes I started to put off, and I was like, okay, I need to like, and I wouldn't come and like, you had to do it like throughout the term, and I would like stack them up until the end, and have to come in and do all like 20 exercises in 2 days. And I'm just there like pulling my hair out with a stepper, bam, 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 bam. And the teacher, and you have to like come in, and the teacher sits outside in his office. And every time you're done with your exercise, you're like, hey, come check my count. And I'm like sitting in this room. My like director of the whole program is sitting outside there, just chilling, waiting for you to be done with the stepper. He loved me, but he was so mad at the end of it. He gave me like a good pass, like a C or a B. I think I definitely didn't get a B. I got a B on it probably, because I wanted to get all A's. I remember.
Yeah.
The first term I got a D. I failed the theory class, and that dude was like the most hardcore guy. And I was like, first I had beef with him because he was just like, yeah, I was just so loosey goosey. I like don't do my homework, you know what I mean? I just pull up. Like I said, he would call you out for 5 seconds, but like he marks it every time, you know what I mean? But I'm like fresh off, like that's my first music class in ever, and he's not even gonna explain you. He's like, this dude doesn't care. Like,
Right.
so my first term, I kind of was like didn't realize, and I failed. And I was like, what the hell? I was like, and so the second term I came back, and I was like, okay, I got my flexing muscles on. I was like, let's get at it. So I started getting all A's. That was actually the first time in my life when I was getting all A grades in pretty much most of my classes. And I would retake the one, like I retook that failed one. That was the funniest part because I like failed the first term. So it was like, it was like fall. Then I got an A in the winter term. Then I got an A in the spring term.
Whoa.
Then I took the summer off of that class. And then I came back in September to retake like music theory 1 with the next whatever roll of college.
Right.
And he was like, what the hell are you doing back here? And I was like, you failed me. You failed me the first term. I was like, he's like, I don't remember that.
He remembers that.
He was so funny. I don't remember his name, but
I was going to
so
say,
cool.
let's give him a shout out.
He was so old, and what's his name? Goddamn, I don't remember. I've been meeting so many people lately. I don't remember no name.
That's okay to forget that guy. You remember everything about him but his name. That's okay, Art.
Yeah, I remember some names, but not all of them.
That guy taught you some things about life and music, though, didn't he?
Sorry, what's up?
He taught you some things about life and music and discipline and just another layer, right? Perspective.
Yeah, it was a good. Then that class got so crazy by the end of the term, you would have to like. It would be for woodwinds for some reason, or not woodwinds, for the saxophone and trombone or a trumpet or something, and all of those, for them to read it properly, it's like, for example, let's say I wrote a melody in D sharp, in that scale.
Right.
But for the guy on the saxophone to play it in D sharp, I have to rewrite it 3 semitones up. So it has to be in F sharp. For him to be able to read it, so once he reads the F sharp, he will actually be playing the D sharp because of how these instruments are transposed. So a trumpet, I don't remember now exactly how many semitones is each one.
Jesus.
Like, but different ones of them. Like Gallo and I, we were doing Calabria, and it was funny because that actually came in handy.
No way. Yeah, because he played it
Yeah.
live, right?
Yeah, because he transposed it to the wrong key, and I kept trying. And I had like the little layout, and I sent him the little layout, and I was like, re-record this, and we were sending things back and forth, and I was like, I think I know, man, I can't figure out, but I think I was like, what key are you transposed on? What I don't even know what he played on. I think it's a sax or something. Well, no, it's not a
saxophone, right?
The sax. He plays on the sax.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so all of those instruments have all these things, and in school he would be like, and the second term the exam was like to write for him, and then you pick an instrument that you want him to play it on, and then it has to be transposed to the right key, but you have to like tell whatever original key is, blah blah. And so if you didn't write it properly, and he would like be out in front of a class, and so it's like there's like 40-50 people in the class, and he's like, okay, your turn, and you just come up with a piece of paper. And I'm like a DJ, you know what I'm saying? That was like a shock for me, the fact that I was doing that shit. I'm like writing these treble clefs. I'm like, I would like write it all on the computer first.
Yeah.
I would write the whole melody, and then I would like select everything, retranspose it, and then I would rewrite it back onto the paper because I couldn't. But these motherfuckers in the class, some of them were literally just in their mind. Like you could see it. Like I never reached that level. Like I could crack the code. You know what I'm saying? When I needed to. Like I was doing it, but some of them have such deep understanding of that stuff. When you're doing it since you're a kid, and you just like, and then they would make us like play along and look at that stuff, and I like got good at it. But now I totally lost it. Like I would have to spend like half a day to remind myself how to do something like that.
Jesus.
But yeah, he would play, and if your shit was wrong, he would just grab your piece of paper, clamp it up, and just throw it in the trash in front of the whole class. And can't play this shit, next. Boom. And it was so tough. And then the second term, it would be like that, or the third term was the hardest because he brought his homie over, and then they would have two. So you would write in one key, right? So I would have to write for 2 instruments in one key. And then each melody I would have to transpose to a different instrument that I would select each one of them to play. And he would be like, I can play sax, trombone, and this thing. I don't remember which ones there are, but there's like 7 of them, woodwinds or whatever. And my boy can play these things, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so then you bring out the 2 pieces of paper for them. And they're together standing, jamming on your shit. It was crazy. I mean,
holy shit, dude. That's intense.
Yeah, it was a tough program. And it was like in a community college too. And I never expected for it to be like, but it was like a very cool experience. And it just made me, I mean, I'm good at figuring shit out, but it just made me humble myself up a little and just realize how broad the spectrum of musicianship is. And it was a lot of good business classes, and I even ended up having my previous project name. So during that time, I was going by My Mind, actually. And my partner was going by name Half Deaf. So we were going by My Mind and Half Deaf. And we were doing like this. We were not even getting really booked anywhere that much. We were just like, we were doing some one-off after-hour parties that we would literally, it would be like a spin-off of another event that we would basically go crash with a bunch of flyers and just give away. Because we knew the party would be over. And then you'd be like, once this is over, come to our spot down the street. And I just remembered I was doing that like a long time ago. I was talking to somebody about it.
Yeah.
And so we were doing that, and I was doing like this deep dubstep stuff, and we were pressing the record, and we were going by My Mind and Half Deaf. And I still have a bunch of those vinyl records that we never ended up selling. But during that same time, I'm going to school, and I have like these. They had like it was like a seminar. It would be like every term there'd be a seminar, and they'd bring all these lecturers in, different people from different aspects of music industry. And one of them was this woman, rest in peace. I don't remember her name once again, but I remember she passed away recently. She was basically like a music business advisor.
Yeah.
I think she worked like with somebody like Decemberists or somebody like that.
Oh, yeah. I'm familiar.
Some bands from Portland that got really popular.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, she gave a bunch of cool information. And at the end of the class, she was like, I do these like one-on-one consultations as well. And so I signed up with my partner to go talk to her. And at the same time, we were like building our own little studio. And we came up with DeafMind, which was my previous name.
Right.
And we made all these T-shirts, we made all this branding. And at the same time, all simultaneously, this guy, Benny Rocks, who is, thanks to him for being the one to put us on, basically discovers us because we have all this crazy gear. We're writing all this music. You know, we're also, and then EDM.com at that time was really popular, and the trap, EDM trap was the thing, and I was, as my mind, I was just so butthurt. I was like hating that it was, at that time, I was that kid that was thought like everything that was the cool stuff, I was like, that's not cool anymore. Like,
Yeah.
So for me, EDM trap wasn't cool, but everybody was doing it, and I made a couple songs like as a joke.
Yeah.
But then they ended up getting picked up by EDM.com, and I got like on them more streams than I got on all of my music combined in my entire life. And so I come to my partner and I'm like, we're done with this experimental shit. We're doing trap now. I was like, we gotta do trap. I was like, look at these numbers. I was like, look at this party. And there was a Wednesday party that Benny Roxy, Gregorio Sanchez, my friend, has been running. He was running the sickest trap night on Wednesdays. And we linked with him. We were helping him with production, and he's a great producer. He actually does sound now for Slender and a bunch of other big acts, and he's on tour with them. But he was the local promoter, DJ, and getting into production. And we were like crazy into production, but had no leg in the game, in the local game, you know what I mean?
Totally, yeah.
So he finds us and puts us on right away. And I was DJing at that time, I already had decks, and I've been doing this as a kid since 16 for like 7 years, just messing around with turntables. So we knew well how to DJ.
Gotcha.
And he started putting us on, and we did this release party for a vinyl record, which was an experimental bass record, but we were playing a trap party, and we were wearing all this gear for our studio. We got all these girls dressed up into DeafMind, but we weren't even going by DeafMind. It all made no sense.
Hey, your young 20s, I feel you.
It was the weirdest. Yeah, it was the weirdest. Like we basically played trap for a release party of an experimental dubstep record, and and had people dressed up into gear for our studio. So we then go to meet with this lady that I met at school that I was earlier to talk about.
Right.
And we're just explaining her all these things, and we're like, we actually go by my mind and have deaf. But we got the studio thing, and we play. We usually do this kind of stuff, but lately, like this guy, she's like, okay, she's like, you guys need a rebrand. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And we each have like 300 followers maybe on like SoundCloud.
Right.
Like nothing even, like maybe 5 or something.
Yeah.
And we're like, but we've been building our fan bases for so long. We're like. She's like, what are we gonna do? She's like, go by DeafMind. It rolls off the tongue much better. And she's like, go, you guys playing these shows, make this music for these people, and like kind of just helped us like straighten us out. And we were like, all of a sudden with boom, we already were getting put on by EDM.com, like some songs. And so once we started DeafMind, they started picking up a bunch of songs right away because we already were concentrated on that style and we figured out kind of the game. And then we're playing the weekly, it was a weekly Wednesday trap party. So we were basically resident DJs there. And then the brand came together and it just started picking up so quick. And then all of a sudden, like, yeah, it's just bass music was like, I don't know why you were asking me about the bass project. So yeah, and then I was just doing bass music, and from there the guy, he's still Paul Song. He owns Red Cube in Oregon.
Okay.
He does all the big shows, like, you know, all Dr. Fresh, Flux Pavilion. You know,
Yeah, I feel like Vinny mentioned Vinny to me. Did you? Had you met Vinny at this point then?
No, Vinny at that point I have not met yet. I don't think Vinny was. I'm like 20. I was maybe at that point. I'm like 23.
Yeah.
And Vinny is like, he maybe is just turning 21 or something. I think he's a couple years younger than me.
Yeah, he's 2 years younger than us. I'm 29. Yeah, so he is.
So I'm 30. So he's just like right around. So I don't think he was just like starting to get into the clubs.
Right.
And I was like, as soon as I turned 21, all of that was happening. So like 2 years into it, I was like playing festivals, like local festivals, and like opening for like Tiva Yoki and Flux Pavilion and OK and all. Some of them were like even small at the time. Like OK was playing the Wednesday party and being like, you know, it was like some of his first shows in Portland. He was like a bass heavy. He was doing like heavy bass at that time.
Dude,
it was
I remember, yeah.
He was doing like early OK trap. And like Loud Pack and Gladiator and 12th Planet and Wookie and all these guys that
this is a dope party then.
Huh?
Yeah, even
Wookie was coming up. So many cool, like, so many cool, like Mayhem from Atlanta. I was like we were like the local duo to put on support for big bass acts, basically.
Right.
And they would put us on for a lot of dubstep shows because we would play a trap set and it was heavy enough and high energy, but it was different. And they would put us on for other shows because we could play. I mean, yeah. So thanks to Paul, he put us on so many great shows, as well as Benny put us on so many great shows. So we were getting a lot of momentum locally. And then we ended up winning the Discovery Project in 2015 for EDC Las Vegas.
Whoa.
Bass Rush. So that was like basically that like just got us out of being the locals.
Yeah.
And then from there, Seattle, at that time it was USC. Now USC got shut down. They were the big company that was working with Insomniac, and they were doing the festivals at the Gorge, and they had like a club. And they would do big shows in college towns in Oregon as well. And so once we started getting on the Insomniac, we got on EDC Vegas bill, we got on Beyond Wonderland bill.
Wow.
And they picked up on that because we were like in that general Northwest area. Plus
the BNW, right, of course.
Yeah, our numbers, and we were doing the follow to download at the time. So we got like 15,000 followers on Facebook in like a year, you know what I mean? Or like, and at that time, Facebook was like before ads came in. So we were getting high engagement, good like return to ratio. Like we would sell out 100 capacity show in Portland easy, like pre-sale.
Right. It's awesome.
Just post it up like ourselves and just do it in a smaller club. So it was like it was good.
How did you give that up then? Why did you transition? I mean, you're doing so well with this project.
And it was crazy. We were like peaking, and Paul was managing us at the time, and then we started having some kind of disagreements in the sense of how the direction the project was going. But it was actually right before the Discovery Project happened. So the Discovery, and then right after we split up, the Discovery Project happened. So we got into the whole like you know, the LA music industry scene, because, you know, all of a sudden we're backstage at EDC Las Vegas, and Tony Marina, who was running Bass Rush at the time, was like introducing us to Eptic.
Yeah.
And all the homies that I met in opening up in Oregon, there was their trailers and stuff.
Wow.
And we're like chilling with them, and I'm like, oh, this is a whole other ball. And I'm like, we were like, it was just like it was the music school when I was like, thought I run shit, and I came in and I was like, I don't know. And I get this artist area, and like that year, the guys above us, we were like the openers at like 6 o'clock, and the guys above us were like Keizo, back-to-back Jaws, back-to-back, like, and these guys, they already had all like 50,000 followers, and I was like, oh. I thought like we were killing it so hard in Oregon, and I was like, oh, the gap. I was like, just for that next slot. I was like, oh my God. I was like, you know, when we were like found out we were gonna play EDC, I was like, that's it. I was like,
I
we
made it.
The boys are on their way.
You had so far to go. It's humbling.
It was like once I got there, it was just like a shock. I was like, this is like, I'm about to start playing a whole new game. This is crazy. And at the same time, we would stop doing free releases, and we started getting into the mindset of the fact that we need to get these bigger label releases. Bigger releases that are gonna be on bigger labels like Matt Decent, D-Mac, and like what else were the bigger labels at the time? Bygore or something else. And we weren't putting music out anymore, and kind of started, our whole streaming thing started to slow down, and a couple of connections fell out of touch. And then me and my partner at that point were living together in the same house for 5 years and doing this shit every day.
Damn.
Like working in the studio, like touring together, doing everything. Like, and you know, we lived great and still are great friends.
A lot of pressure on the friendship.
You know, when you're together, and at that point, my partner was going through a transition that I found out about, that they're transgender and they're going to become a woman, and they're going to go through an operation and like change their lifestyle like that.
Wow.
So, and I found out about that like on the way to one of our shows, and then around we still were playing and doing stuff, and you know, nothing changed. I was like, when she told me at that time, I was like, I was definitely shook, but I was like, I love you, you're my friend, you know, we're doing our thing. And then around that same year, in about like 2-3 months after I find out, I got hit by a car and I almost died. And I still got titanium here in my arm and my leg. I was just crossing the street, going to a supermarket across from my house, and I got hit by a car and woke up in the hospital like smashed up.
Holy shit, Art.
Like, and then basically had surgery and had all the titanium installed, and for how bad of an accident it was, my recovery was like, I came back quick. They didn't even have me do physical therapy because we were still on the roll at that time, and even coming off of all of that, we had shows to open like for Keys and Crates and all of this. So I'm like, I get out of hospital like 2 weeks later, and I'm like on oxycodone and exhausted, like trying to play these shows. And I think I got hit like early November, and December I was already definitely playing shows. Like I was definitely jumping around with the cast on one leg on my birthday.
Holy shit.
Walk around with a limp in the club. And we started a monthly party also in a club where we were playing at the time, because our manager Paul, he left into a different club and started a bigger club. And we stayed in a slightly smaller club that was still sick and had a sick sound system.
Right.
and kept doing this monthly party. So I was doing, besides DJing, and at that time I'm starting to like depend on a little bit of money from doing the monthly events and DJing, and I can't tour as much because I'm broken up, and then my partner starts going through through the surgery, and that whole transition is happening, and I'm just like, and at the same time I finally was finalizing my immigration papers to become a citizen.
Wow.
And my parents were, as soon as I would become a citizen, my parents were going to move to America to get their green cards, because you can do it, like you can bring your parents when you become a citizen.
Right.
And they can apply.
Yes, forgot about that.
So as soon as I was able to, and all that stuff all happened at the same time, and my parents were like random in America. I haven't seen, I would see them like once every 4 or 5 years, and they were in America when I got hit by a car. So that was actually a good thing, because they could be with me and see me and not be as worried about what was happening, and help out and drive me places and whatnot.
So much going on in a short period of time for you.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so I'd go through the immigration process. Like when I was getting passport, I literally like still had scars on my face. I was like coming in for a photo, like all ripped up, like crazy.
Yeah.
But then I realized, like, and I was that was the only thing that was, even during the DeafMind project, once all the EDCs and Beyond Wonderlands were happening, and I was already in California so much, we were already talking about, like, we got to go to LA. I already, like, played some small shows in LA, but I literally was like, I can be the biggest DJ in Portland, but when I come to LA, nobody cares.
Yeah.
But once you're the biggest DJ in LA, all of a sudden everybody cares. And that was, even then I thought about it that way. I was like, I got to go to LA and I got to become the dopest DJ in LA, so people in the world can, because if I'm the dopest DJ in Portland, ain't nobody going to care about this shit.
Yeah.
Like, and in a bigger spectrum of things,
True.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
man.
so,
stay humble.
yeah, I was like, I got like a little chunk of cash from the insurance and that whole little transition. And I just was like, I'm going to move to LA now. And I just made the move. But I was still doing the monthly party in Portland. So I'd come back to Portland once a month and DJ. And I was still doing bass music. And I was like producing for like Wiz, and how to say, not to sound any wrong or anything. I was doing some side production or help production for other bass artists that I met at the time. They were bigger than me.
Right.
And that was cool, but I also didn't work out the way I wanted to, or for either of us, in terms of whatever you call it, for helping production and getting
I understand what you're saying.
credited properly or getting paid out properly for the work you do. So that was still happening, and I was doing the party in Portland, and I would just go out to the bass shows, and I was just like not really, vibing too hard at them. Like I was trying to break in, and I would go to Space Yacht bass shows, and it was just hard for me. Like it was like it was a very competitive scene, and everybody was like very, even when you show each other music, people are more judgy about it rather than like even thinking now about house music. I'm always excited to hear my friends' music or other music because I get to play it out or something. But there, like when you're trying to break in, especially, and I self-released a big record that got like 1 million streams on YouTube. So I was having almost the best year in terms of streams in my life at that year, but I had no shows. I like only had my monthly party in Portland that I would go and DJ. Wow. And I was just when I was first starting doing those parties that Benny was throwing with the trap and stuff, it was like express yourself era, people going crazy, like the way the house parties right now, twerking, going dancing, like twerk, even like the whole like pum 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 pum, the 100 BPM, like we were even known for like doing the 100 BPM stuff.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, all of a sudden it's like 2017, and all my shows are like just like super like experimental people, like the Wookiee kind of crowd. And I was like, and they're not really dancey, they're more like bouncy, and I love that vibe, like the old school dubstep vibe, like me and the boys in the hood,
yeah,
in the hoods, checking out, like feeling the bass and shit. Like I love that shit, but I was like, that's not my vibe. I was like, I want to make people dance. I was like, I'm all about dance. I was just remembering how much fun I was having DJing, dancing people, like, and nobody was dancing. Everybody was just head nodding all of a sudden, and I was like, and then I was in LA, and well, at the same time, my friend and business partner Nico, he was helping me out running the party, and then we started a spin-off record label off of the party. So it was like a small record label where I would just book whoever I would book, I would release their music, just free follow to download, nothing crazy. We wouldn't even distribute it, and we were doing great. Like on SoundCloud, we getting decent amount of streams for locally. We were like doing dope, like pretty much not the dopest, but like we're as a like little blog / party. It was cool to like be and release with us, and a lot of locals were hitting us up, and that's how I met Vinny Recon, because he did a remix for somebody's EP, and I was like, I heard the remix, and I was like, who's that? Oh, this remix is better than the fucking original EP. I was like, it's that guy. And then he just started like releasing with us a little here. Like I think he released then a single with me, and then he did another remix that actually ended up on Spotify under his old name. If somebody finds out, they can go figure it out.
We gotta figure it out, don't we?
It's a remix for. So I did this like it was like my last trap EP that I did, that I really cared about, and it was like this 120 BPM slow kind of like hood trap, like with more like very kind of what was this guy's name? Hero Basti kind of sounds.
Oh
almost.
yeah, I got you.
And like more like not very rhythm, but like metallic sound design.
Yeah,
whatever.
Right.
But so Vinny did a remix for that, and then that remix, Tony, Dr. Fresh started playing out. So then at that time, Tony and Vinny were friends through some other connection through their sororities, and Vinny was moving to LA.
Yeah.
And I was already in LA, and he wasn't really, he was more of a resident at this other party that was like another local party, but we were friendly between each other, and we would sometimes like, I would book even their whole party for a takeover. So he played my party a couple times, just doing like bass house and like and bass music, because my party was all bass music.
Right.
But yeah, so I knew of him that way, and then when we were in LA, since we're both from the same city and we're both in the same, we started hanging out more and got to know each other. Like we knew each other, we were friendly, but we weren't like I started coming over, and we started chilling, and actually figured each other out. And I met Tony because they were living together.
Right.
And we had the same manager, Donovan, at the same time. At the time, Donovan picked me up, so we all were kind of started to tie in together. And Donovan's really good friend with them, and we all were, started kind of mingling more and hanging out and doing stuff. And then even did between me and Vinian, when we did the bubble up stuff, that ended up leading into that, which was another party we did. That was in LA, but that was when I started being like. I stopped really trying to break into things. I was like, I just want to do dope shit with my friends. I was like, we were kicking it. It was like me, Cyboy, Freakon. Freakon was getting booked a bunch locally already, but like, and then Tony was like, was supporting us. We had Blake Weber and Matty Ghost, who were double there at the time. And my girlfriend Janessa got involved, Donovan's girlfriend Sarah, a bunch of our friends, and we were like, we just want to throw a cool party and just hang out with all our friends.
Yeah.
And we don't even care if anybody is to impress anybody, these people. We just want to do for ourselves to DJ and get a 6 spot. And through our friend Domi Divine, we got connection to 1720. And came up with the whole Bubble Up brand, which was really fun. And we did like a lot of cool stuff. A lot of people were like, our whole bigger group of friends were involved.
Right.
And that's when I first started noticing like the Henry and all the cool industry people, like other big DJs and influencers, like this, coming over and taking note to us, like, you know, everybody that's now been also coming to Blind Tiger, you know, it's all leading over into that.
That's amazing.
But, yeah, we were just doing our thing, and people took a notice, and you know, it's been a blessing. Just, and that's why, and the house music, you know, I loved it since, as I was saying, I was 12 years old listening to that stuff.
Yeah.
But when I moved to America, I never got to do it like that. But I knew all the OG house stuff and tech house and deep in subgenres and listening to Loco Dice and all these guys before I even moved to America. You know what I mean? So for me, I was like, I'm at home already. I was like, you ain't gotta convince me.
You found home again.
So yeah, it's been, you know, and
what a journey, bro.
Yeah, it's been great doing Blind Tiger, doing house music, and really pushing the underground sound and really trying to, you know, expose people to new stuff that they might have not heard at the bigger festivals, and a lot of, even just from thanks to the house cats guys that have been bringing me to Florida this year.
Yeah.
I think I've been there 5 times this year, and just getting influenced by how their headliners there are so different than the headliners for house music on the West Coast. You know, the Martinez I mean, they have them here and there, but those guys.
Because it's LA, right?
There.
Of course.
Michael Beebe's, all the like, it's fun to be able to have that kind of underground European sound being able to push here in LA, because, and that's with no disrespect to Skrillex or Steve Aoki or Mala or anybody, because they became so big and they're such a huge, and it's bass house, even the tech house, even the West Coast tech house that is Noizu and some Biscuits, I would consider him in that category. And even there's who else would I like? Hood Politics is its own little kind. I feel like it's like a Fisher branch off.
It is, yeah. It's too high energy.
Branched off from that moment, but now it's its own thing, and it's a lot more authentic.
Yeah,
but it's you know, it's interesting to see that that type of house, the EDM house and the bass house, took over so much that a lot of people, when I talk to them about, like, you know, OG house and disco and like UK garage and all these things, they don't even know, they're just finding out about it, or like they don't even know about that kind of stuff. For them, house music is like electro or like Martin Garrix. You know, there's different levels of certain people understanding.
Right.
You know, the stereotypical like girl that says I like techno, and my favorite DJ is Steve Aoki. Right. And then there's obviously like, you can see somebody who is like getting into their DJing, and they're going and talking to like people that will come up to me and they want to have a conversation because they see me coming up and they see me, but I'm more accessible in a sense because I'm still playing kind of small shows, and they'll pick my brain and be like, you know, this and that, and trying to figure out genres, and you know, you can see that their understanding is not as deep yet, but they're trying to figure it out. And then there's obviously like the super snobs that are like, if it's not this, it's not that, and this guy doesn't get it, so he's stupid. And there are some snobs like me that get it. I love everybody, and I understand how it breaks down, but I also understand how sometimes majority, like even within my sets, that's why I love being part of Hood Politics, because whenever I'm at this hype, like college party or a bottle service party, or I pull out the Hood Poly edit pack and all my remixes and I just run it.
It works.
You know what I mean? And you can't go wrong with it. You know what I mean? Sometimes pulling up with the European stuff to some like more American play, but I still get to do the kind of, it has that original house undertone and underline.
Yeah. It's got that open format house. I think you and I can both agree, like, in order to get sort of the commercial people into the house, right, you got to use those vocals. You mentioned John Summit earlier, right? But if you look at Hood Politics, Spira does a great job of this too. Really kind of giving the commercial crowd, the mainstream crowd, the familiar lyric. And you've done it. You've done a really good job of it, Binge. I mean, across your label releases, right? Like, you're in the house range, but the labels you've released on, you kind of like expand your sound, not to that label, but the label's happy to have you because you do bridge that gap. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's hard. I'm realizing I don't know. I'm trying. Sometimes I've tried to categorize myself, and even within the Bingewatch. Like when I started the Bingewatch project, it was definitely I was off of the bass thing, and I was like Bingewatch is not gonna have a single wobble in his fucking track. Yeah,
was that tough though? I bet you missed the wobbles a little bit, don't you?
I don't yet miss it. So funny. People like my staff at Blind Tiger is like, they're like, we gotta make you the Bass House Police T-shirt and then make you the tickets so I can go whenever somebody plays a Bass House song. I can come and I can write them a ticket.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. You can't invite Tony then. He's probably dropping some bass out.
Tony is the best in that. He actually, Tony and I, that's why him and I get along so well, because him and I actually have very similar history in our
that's
music.
True.
Like within our timeline, when we both, I guess our timeline really meets around 2007, and we were both got into Rasco and dubstep and electro. And he was like interning for DeafMind, but I was fresh off the boat. I didn't even know. I just liked the music. But like musically, him and I, we go, like we have so many songs. We even have this one, what's it called? I forget the song. Tony, what? We used to call it, it's our song. God damn it. I forget. My memory.
We'll send it to him.
Got the best of me right now. He knows which one. I know which one too. We would together. He would actually right now. I would drive with Janessa in the middle of nowhere, and we're talking about songs, and I'm like, remember a certain sample, and I'm like, I'm like, this sample would be sick right here. I was like, I don't remember which song it is, but it goes like this. And I was like, let's call Tony. Tony would know right now. And I'm like, hey, Tony, who made this song? And he's like, oh yeah, that's the 2013 edit of the blah 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 remix of the this album. I'm like, oh my god, yeah, he's got his library, and he's played through so many different genres, and he's actually been very successful in being like, I had to completely rebrand, but he's been, even though he's changed so many different genres, he's been very able to be fluid. Kind of Diplo style.
Dude, he's amazing. I don't think he ever intended to be a one size fits all, and I think a lot of artists feel like they have to fall into that, but he's an inspiration.
Now he's really tuning in, I feel like, into some like mid-tempo, slow, like even his bass house is different.
The videos he shares, right? Like, I mean, I've been following Dr. Fresh for a long time. The G House days is when I first discovered him, right? I think I'm forgetting the remix that he made, but it was this big G House plucker, and I was like, this shit's fucking dope, and following him ever since. He might play Skrillex, he might play Tech House. I mean, he's played your guys' tracks, he's played tons of freak tracks.
While we're on the topic of Dr. Fresh, we might as well show you the track that he signed of Bingewatches. This one's called Happy Thug. Let's go.
when I saw him at Nocturnal, like it was on the big stage, and like me, the bass house police right here. I wrote him a whole poem, and I was like, "You have returned my belief into bass music again. The sound design, like the way it was, the visuals, and this, like it was sick. It wasn't annoying, and it was in the right place in the right time. And whenever we've had him at the after hours, he always pulls up. We played disco with him together. He pulls out the underground tracks. That's why he's excited to support us sometimes too. Is he gets to do what he doesn't get to do on these bigger events. You know what I mean? Because he comes from he loves the tech house. I mean, he's always like all right, I gotta give you my folder of tech house from 2011 to 2014 because I have he's got a whole collection.
That's fucking awesome, actually.
Yeah, he's got a giant, and he stays up on it. You know what I mean? And you know, he can play the new tracks, and he plays. You know, and in his sets and he played my tracks and his live streams. He plays Freakon's tracks and his sets all the time on its tech house. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't, you know, necessarily. He's definitely house. Like in that sense, like, but you know, whether it's bass house or electro house or it's that high energy, you know, sound design house or what, you know, however you would categorize it, and it will always exist in one or another form, whether it's blog house or electro house or bass house or mid tempo or. You know, it's that stompy, like, you know.
Yeah, he's the man, dude. He's the fucking man. And dude, I was gonna say I want to quickly talk about a few of your releases because we mentioned all these different labels you've released on: Medium Rare, The Prescription, which is now House Call, Mix Match Deep, Sink or Swim, 9 tracks on Hood Poly, recent remix on Rock Bottom Records. Some honorable mentions on your SoundCloud releases too. The Flux Pavilion, I Can't Stop. That's a staple in my sets, by the way, Binge.
Oh, yeah,
that shit fucking works, bro. And your Keyless Milkshake remix, right? Like, dude, you have such an incredible discography, man. And I want to acknowledge you for that. You're at 20,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. I don't know if you knew that, but you are.
I keep an eye on that. Yes.
I do. You're a stats guy, right? Yeah, you're a fucking teacher in community college.
Yeah, I know the systems a little bit. It's interesting, you know. I like the stats, but it's also sometimes I try to. Yeah. It's been a blessing and a curse. Sometimes when you chase the numbers too much, it's they don't really correspond. So I've been trying to be way more organic and like.
Well, it doesn't always result in shows. You said that too. You had your best year of streaming on your old project and barely got any shows, right? And
exactly, yeah, it's
the other way
the
around.
Complete opposite for me right now. You know, a matter of fact, my previous project right now probably still has more streamers on Spotify.
Don't check.
I swear to God.
It's the truth. It's the truth, man. But I'm such a massive fan of your sound, and we've talked about Freak on a lot. I want to ask, because you've done Like That with Freak on Medium Rare and Lock and Drop, and also your Sink or Swim remix. There are some that know of the Freakwatch project that might have seen it on a live stream. You guys definitely have a sound when you collab together. I know you guys know that, and I've asked him about that. I mean, like, what's sort of the story there, like, when you guys get in the studio together? Because they're really special tracks every time.
And I'm going to show you just how special their collabs are. This one's called Yo Lova from Freak On and Bingewatch by a Sink or Swim.
I mean, we're so similar, but we're so different at the same time. So he's actually a perfect person to collab with, because when he gets too lazy and doesn't want to work on it anymore, I just get excited, and the other way around. And so, like, he's very systematic, and the way he's organized is like he has his systems worked out and how he goes about it, and there's certain things he won't veer off, you know what I mean? And it started with actually him hitting me up for some production advice, but he is a great producer, and his mixes and masters, just the way he concentrates and put his time. Like I'm doing 7 million things at the same time, so I'm like I could be like working on an artwork on one computer while mixing a track down, while still answering somebody's text and
cooking some
on
eggs.
the guest list for tonight. And he will be like on the computer with me in the room, and I'll be like, "Yo, Vinny." Blah blah. Just ask him something, and he wanted to turn around. Like I'm tapping him on the shoulder. He wanted to turn around. Like such a concentrated. And and then like 5 minutes later, he's like, "What?" And I'm like, well, "Hello, you're back." and I'm like literally, I'll be like doing the most concentrated work, and then like I get distracted super easily. Like, so it helps us to get something out super quick, because I'll be like, and he also like, I'm more like out, everything we've done, and if you listen to them, like it's like, we'll either have like a modular synthesizer or like some kind of a, like I'm like the type of producer that I'll be like, I'll start with like a random idea. I'll be like, oh, that's a sick, weird vocal, and we'll spin off of that to start a track.
Mm-hmm.
But he'll build the whole foundation, have the drums, build in the bass line, and then start putting things on top. And the way I work is more like, I'll be like, have a kick running in the background and just be fucking around with this modular synths that I borrowed from my friend. And then I'm like, oh, these are fucking sick sounds. Fucking record all that shit. And I'm like, yo, freak. I was like, get all this fucking VST shit out of here. We're using the fucking modular line today. You know what I mean? He's like, Art, all this shit is out of tune. Fuck, get it out of here. We can't fucking do it. I was like, well, let me show you. I'm like, let Papa get to the computer. I've been around the block one time or two.
Oh my God.
And then we kind of tiff with each other here and there. And then he's like, no, this sounds like shit. And I'm like, well, fucking go fix it. Make it sound good. And then he's like, you motherfucker. And then he'll go and he'll adjust it, even though he didn't want to use the modular bass line, because it'd be way easier to just use the clean serum patch that we got going. But I'm like, we can't take the easy way out. I'm like, we gotta push the envelope.
Those are like parents that argue but really love each other.
Yeah, I wish it's like when we came to Florida for the first time. Ask Freak or Gallo about this. Gallo's got a drum set, and guitars and shit at his house, and we're like all trying to collab and shit. And I'm like, we ain't doing this simple shit. Look, we got guitar, we got drums. Freak is like, Art, there's 1 million kick samples. I'm like, no. I was like, Gallo, do you have a microphone? I was like, how are we gonna do this? We're sampling this fucking kick drum. And the fucking we actually got like a little cool idea started. I got them on the fucking Freak on the fucking guitar and shit.
Holy shit, dude. You're a composer.
Yeah, I just like, I don't know. I'm like, I try to make it fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I like my system too. Like sometimes, like the way I got the Moog recently, and I figured out my own little system, and I've been making these little bassline patches and resampling them and stuff. And then making songs out of them, or just the recent one, the Gallo remix. It's that whole bassline and all that stuff. It's all Moog, the new synths that I got. So I'm just like recording it. And I basically didn't use any other bass patch or anything besides that. Like, and even those little is also all Moog. So it's just, I was just doing the drums, and then I just did the drums, and then I took his vocal samples.
It does sound authentic.
It
sounds very analog. That's amazing, dude. I was gonna compliment you on that. That makes sense now.
Thank you. Yeah, it was. I was just basically playing the track when messing with the bass line and doing it. So I like to do shit like that. Sometimes it's as you say, it's hard. That's why sometimes I feel like that way, that my songs are not all perfect, and maybe sometimes it's not as consistent as I would want it to be.
Right.
But I mean, it does have a certain, people notice the soul, and it's like, you know what I mean, when you do the punk rock shit with distortion. You know, it might not be perfect, but it's got something to it. And
the imperfections are what make it recognizable and memorable, right? Yeah, totally.
So that shit is definitely not perfect at all. It's kind of, I mean, people compliment me all the time, but I always think my shit is. I'm like, it's just like, I was like, when I was finishing this mix down, I was like, I was not happy. Like, I'm honestly, I was talking, who was I talking? I was talking to a couple of people, but they pay for like to do like a stem master and a master, and I usually don't. I'm so obsessive compulsive about this stuff. But between all the shows that I've been doing lately, I'm almost about to try and find somebody that I can work. I just can't like just send it off to somebody I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
And not know what the fuck they're doing. I gotta be like able to.
It's an important step in the process.
Communicate with them and have more of a,
right.
How would you call it? A symbiotic relationship rather than being like, oh, here's the master. I could be like, I gotta like be able to get back to them and be like, hey, I know you're using this plugin, maybe dial the brightness back on. I don't want some mystery sauce on my shit that I have no idea about.
Bro, I want to get in the studio with you because it sounds like a great time either way.
Easy, man. Whenever I'm coming to Chicago. You know that.
That's right. All right. You ready for this? I said earlier, you've released 9 tracks on Hood Politics, 6 different releases, 2 EPs, 1 collab, 1 compilation release, 2 singles, and 3 remixes. Okay. I said that kind of quick, but I double checked. All right. I researched. We've got some fire here, bro. And I'm not going to ask the question. I want you to answer. I'm going to ask the question, but what is your favorite Hood Politics release that you've done?
Let me think. I mean, the Warehouse show would be, I feel like at this point, it's just becoming an anthem, and it wasn't.
Yeah. It was before it was out.
All right, let's check out this masterpiece. This one's called Warehouse Show by Bingewatch and Cyboy off Hood Politics Records.
Wanna go to the Warehouse Show? Only a couple of people know the code. Get on the decks, spinning a couple of songs. DJ, can you keep it going all night? Wanna go. Wanna go to the Warehouse Show? Only a couple of people know the code. Wanna go. Wanna go to the Warehouse Show? Only a couple of people know the code.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, people were singing the lyrics before it was out. So yeah, it came not naturally. It wasn't forced. It was fun to make, and it's some kind of, it's hard for me, you know what I mean? Like, Never Come Home, I like so much because the bass line is just so different than the way I wrote it.
And another one. Let's check this one out. Bingewatch, Never Come Home via Hood Politics Records.
I'm better come on. Come on.
That
and
EP
it's
is
got the
so good,
vintage
dude.
sample.
Yeah.
It's so dope. And Jackham is dope. I mean, I like them all. I can't even. And then even Pay Attention, the one that has the least streams. That's the one Freak was like, I wish you put that one as a single and not a B-side.
No B-sides, dude. Come on. You know what Susan says. No B-sides.
Come
on, Benny, bro.
I was sitting on so much music. I was like, Susan, let's just throw another one in at this point to get
So
something
true.
right.
You've done an incredible work with Hood Politics, man. Like, on behalf of the Hood Poly family, like, thank you for releasing fucking hit after hit. My favorite one of yours actually is probably the Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger remix off the Daft Punk VA. I know you whipped that one up really quickly, didn't you?
I whipped. I mean, everything I whipped up that is there. I whipped up probably pretty quickly. Since I've, it's just been. I mean, I guess not all of them. Which ones they? I don't know. I'm a pretty fast writer. I'll tell you that much. None of them took more than 2 days.
That's awesome.
But I think that one I definitely did quick because they did it on the short timeline. I think it was like a couple weeks that we were given because they hit me up for it when
Nobody
the
had
whole
time.
Daft Punk thing happened, the Daft Punk tribute. Flux Pavilion I wrote that one I wrote in 2 hours. And I posted it on my story. And I got so many responses that I decided to post it on my timeline. And I was like, if I get 100 comments, and I never would get that many at that time.
Yeah.
And I got them right away. And I was just like, okay. And I just finished it and posted it. And it was like, it's, I literally probably didn't even master it. It was probably a limiter on the master channel. And everything is just slammed.
It's loud. It works though. It's the right type of loud.
But when I write, I mean, I gotta be in the right mindset to write long. Like I'm gonna go and I'm gonna be writing. It's not gonna be like me sitting in front of a computer. It's gonna be like a process of like either me getting like a piece of hardware,
right,
or me going and picking up some records to sample, or me learning some kind of a new technique that I will build this song around. But I always try and like do at least one thing that I'm pushing myself on, or I mean, sometimes some songs like the Daft Punk one, it's just so easy for me to write jumpy 303 kind of bass lines.
Yeah, totally.
I didn't overthink too much there, I guess, but
yeah, hey, whatever works for you, bro. You found your
but
process.
in general, I try and push the boundary a little bit, I guess.
Bro, I didn't know you're such a comedian. All right. One of my last questions here for all the people out on the West Coast, SoCal, and also anybody who wants to fucking get involved. Blind Tiger, tell us about it. How can we get involved? What is it? It's obviously an underground party brand that you've developed, and it's not your first time doing this shit. So that's why it's so well run. I'm glad to hear that now.
Yeah, I mean, it's my whole team, everybody, me, Janessa, Pops, Underground Control, Sideboy, Stephanie, Penny Lane, Lydia, everybody. Who else is involved? Probably forgetting somebody. But we have at this point an extensive family of people that are part of it, and it's sort of like a private members only after hours gathering where we play cool underground house music, and where I get to be the bass police guy, bass house police guy, and not let anybody play that kind of stuff, and we're keeping it that way there. And then we have a couple off brands in terms of a techno night and an experimental bass night. And with those, we still try and keep authentic and like really bring the culture, like the OG culture, to those same ones, whether it's doing drum and bass nights or doing more experimental kind of stuff that's not that's not necessarily the big dubstep acts that are right now, but more underground, so sort of artists that are pushing boundaries. And
Okay.
yeah, we are doing that. We're now at Sound Nightclub for a season. Thank you to Space Yacht, which is huge. And
That's not small stuff, bro. I want everybody to know how fucking awesome that is, because the Tuesdays of Space Yacht is an institution, and the fact they're partnering with you, Sound Nightclub, one of the most famous nightclubs in LA, let alone the world.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, my top house music nightclub for sure in Los Angeles.
Oh, definitely. That's
really,
for sure.
And they're pushing, and they are similar to what kind of mentality we have with the way we book people and who we book and the sound we try and push. So I'm really happy to be part of that community there, and also being part of the Space Yacht community. That huge shout out to Henry and Rami both for getting us involved and recognizing, that we're bringing culture. And I'm still, you can't believe it. I'm so happy because I've been going to Space Yacht since the day. I knew about it when I was in Portland, and I wanted to get booked and play there as a bass act.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? And I would have to, in 2017, I would have to RSVP and come before 10 p.m. and I would do it every week. Now being able to, be there and with these people hanging out and being able to chat up and network and give other people opportunity. Like, we have kids from Icon that come in and are like, hey, I love coming here, networking, you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh my God. I was like, what have we kind of started here?
That's amazing, though.
The bigger events that we've been doing at the warehouse, the 1720 warehouse, and my birthday event coming up at the new venue at Vermont, which is going to be, I'm really excited about that one. So we got bigger scale ones where we actually, start out and give away a lot of free tickets and try and get as many people in to be able to support and let the real deal people who care still experience it, because we know how tough it is in the music industry coming up and being able to go out and afford all these things. So yeah, I'm really thankful for opportunities with these bigger venues right now. Plus, the after hours is still going 5 days a week, so that just never stops.
Fucking LA, bro.
Crazy.
Dude,
exhausted.
Unbelievable. Congratulations to you and shout out to Blind Tiger. What's your guys' Insta tag, Art?
blindtiger.la, and that's our website as well.
blindtiger.la. I live in Chicago, everybody, and I follow them, and it's been incredible to watch.
Instagram, blindtiger_LA, and for website, blindtiger.la.
blindtiger_LA. Honestly, bro, this whole conversation I've been thinking about, I was like, I got to find some time, maybe early 22, to come out to LA, visit Binge, everybody. Dude,
I already know what time it is. Say less, brother. Come on.
I know. I don't want to be in Chicago in January either. You already know that.
It's cold, huh?
It may not be Russia, bro, but it fucking sucks.
I don't like it cold. I love how warm Los Angeles is.
You love it? Yeah? You don't miss the cold ever?
Nah, I don't miss it. Even the Portland was still, it was a good warm up from Russia, but then I got tired of the rain real quick. I don't vibe with it.
A warm up, yeah, for sure. Oh my God! When's the next release? Can you give us that? Anything this year?
Actually, I don't have anything lined up. Like I actually wanted to take this time off for a month and finish up something and sort some stuff out. And I don't really. Yeah, I'm kind of gonna be, besides the plan to launch something for Blind Tiger next year. I'm gonna try and finalize a bunch of songs and send them out, like starting next week after I come back from Florida.
Hell yeah, man. Well, congratulations to you. This has been without a doubt, one of my favorite interviews ever because you are such a fucking good storyteller, dude. Like that, the story about you going to music school, I was laughing the entire. I thought I was watching stand-up comedy. I didn't want to interrupt you at all because I was like, this is really good.
Oh, thank you. It was funny.
This fucking guy comes in. I'm like, this is great, dude. What is he talking about? But I love it.
Oh, man, I appreciate it. Thanks for listening to me blubber for 2 hours.
Absolutely, man. Everybody go follow Bingewatch. This guy is the next big thing. And, dude, man to man, you're the fucking man. Thank you for everything you do. And thank you for taking the time, bro. I can't wait to see what the future holds for you.
Thank you. You're the man. I'll see you in Chicago or LA.
I'm gonna see you soon.
Or somewhere. Yeah, I'll see you soon.
See you, Art. Have a good night, bro. Thank you. Hey, what's up? And thanks for watching that video. You looking for more content now? I got your back. Go to my YouTube channel right now, hit that subscribe button, and make sure you turn on all notifications so you never miss any upcoming exclusive artist interviews, Sherman the Booth clips, new music, live sets, and more. This is your one-stop shop for everything electronic music. Cheers.